Welcome to the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the Deferred Sales Trust is the best way for you to sell and defer capital gains tax on the sale of cryptocurrency, business, real estate, or any other highly appreciated asset. Hey, I'm your host, Brett Swarts. In each episode, I'm joined by some of the best real estate, financial, wealth, business, and sometimes cryptocurrency blockchain minds in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. We're also streaming on Expert CRE Secrets. You can search that on YouTube and on the podcast. All things commercial real estate, all things helping brokers grow their business, and so that's a great place also to check out as well. I'm excited about our next guest. He is out of Nicaragua, and I haven't had too many guests overseas. I had, I think, a couple in France, but he's currently undergraduate studying business administration and computer information systems. One of his greatest passions is learning about new technologies, and he's vested in learning and understanding how to implement the blockchain technology in real-world use cases. And I'm excited to welcome Felipe Vogel to the show. Felipe, how are you, sir?
Thank you, Brett. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. It's really exciting to talk about this technology. Thank you.
Absolutely. And we've got the blue shirts on today, both of us, with our glasses, and
Yes,
we got similar color hair. I got a little shorter on the sides. Yours is a little longer, but you're looking good, sir. So for our listeners, so thanks for doing that. For our listeners who are getting to know you for the first time, would you tell us a little bit more about your story and then your current focus in blockchain and cryptocurrency?
Definitely. So my name is Felipe, as Brett introduced. I'm 21 years old, and I was born in Nicaragua. That's located in Central America. I'm currently studying in Florida. I'm a senior right now, and I'm excited about technology. I learned about blockchain and crypto back in 2015. I was 15 years old, and I still remember going to school at 7 a.m. and sitting in the car and thinking about new technologies. I started to learn about the stock market. I started to learn about this thing called XRP back in 2015. And it was interesting because it had a value, but I couldn't understand what the value was of it. But I started learning a little bit, and I saw that I had an opportunity there, but I couldn't buy anything because I was 15. I wanted to buy Tesla stock. I wanted to buy XRP, and something that came to mind was, what's going to happen with this in 10 years? What's going to happen with this in the financial industry? And since then, I've been very interested in learning. And I think that's one of the core features that brings anyone that's interested in blockchain or crypto to successfully investing in them, learning. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's really great. Exactly. So learning and understanding it, and of course, selling high, right? And being able to defer the tax if you have a huge gain. So, every state and every country has different rates and maybe some different laws when it regards to this. But yes. So what's the biggest secret, Felipe, right now that you found or that you've learned over the years as it comes to investing and understanding blockchain and cryptocurrency? What's the one thing that's really sticking out for you that you've learned in the past 12 months?
Well, regarding the investment of cryptocurrency assets, you have to think about, how do you give a value to something that you can't know how it got value? Like it was created, it's a smart contract, let's say. It can have an unlimited supply, but how do you give value to that? A thing that I found that gives a value for myself, I actually have some clients and I invest for them, and it's pretty good. But something I found for myself and other clients is that you have to think about a project, not the coin, but the project and where it's going in the future, how it's interacting with real world use cases, what's going to do in the future. And I would totally stay away from meme coins, excuse my French, they're called shit coins, because they're made to make fast money, and it's not real. A lot of people can make money with meme coins, but it's not the name of the game. You got to stick to things that are going to be the future. You got to stick to the technology, and you got to know who you're investing with.
Excellent. So as far as the technology, so like figuring out if the thing has value or future, something like Ethereum, maybe you can explain, why does Ethereum have value, or something like Chainlink? explain some of the technology behind some of the coins and some of the blockchain that you're investing in or that you're following.
All right. So if you're new to crypto or you're recently investing in crypto, you want to know what blockchain is, what this technology is. And I found a way to explain blockchain very simply and easily. You got to think of blockchain, you got to get the words and you got to separate it in half. And you have a chain of blocks where the blocks contain information. And then I'm going to explain how it becomes a chain. So let's say you've probably heard about the Ethereum blockchain. The blockchain simply means whatever happens on Ethereum is stored in the blocks of the blockchain of Ethereum, right? So pretty much what happens is that, let's say there's a transaction, it's stored in the blockchain, but the block has a limited amount of storage where once it's full, whatever was last on the block is going to appear on the new block, which makes the connection of the blocks and it creates the blockchain. One interesting thing about blockchains is that it's pretty much impossible to hack because it works with a distributed ledger. A ledger is simply a list. So let's say we're going to go to the supermarket. I have a list, you have a list, and everyone has the same list. If you were to change something from that list, you would have to change everyone's list so the blockchain changes. And since it's updated pretty much live and a lot of things are happening at the moment, it's pretty much impossible to change it before anything else updates on the blockchain.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. And in fact, there was a deal that we just closed on Saturday. It was an Ethereum case and also partial Bitcoin. They bought it for like 100,000 over the last, worth of coin over the last 5 or 6 years, and then they saw it shoot up to about 9 million or 6 million in 2016, and then it was like 9 million like 6 months ago or 7 months ago, and then it was like 13 million. So their gain was like $12.9 million, right? And they're looking to sell this thing. They're like, oh my gosh, all this tax, what am I going to do? And so we were able to use the Deferred Sales Trust to defer the capital gains tax on that. And it's, but part of why I was interested, because I asked him, like, how did you have like the titanium spine to hold, right? I mean, you bought it at 100,000, it turns into 200. Wouldn't you just sell? And he's no. He's in the tech industry, tech world, right? Computer science, all the stuff that you're doing too. He's like, Brad, I understood the technology. I understood the future. He had certainty of conviction when it came to this investment, not unlike what someone else might have for a piece of real estate or a stock or a company or whether other investment, like, someone like Steve Jobs, who creates a personal computer in the garage in Silicon Valley, right? And then he has a conviction that the future is this. And so that was really fascinating to hear from somebody who's in it, especially from someone like myself, who's in a real estate expert, and then tax deferral with the deferred sales trust expert, but not an expert when it came to crypto, that he had this certainty of conviction. Now, the opposite was actually kind of funny too, because his wife was also not an expert in this. In fact, she's an attorney, a completely different field. And he actually delayed telling her for a couple of years about their investment and how well it had done. And so they're sitting down at the table and at a dinner one night, and it's like an anniversary dinner. And he's like, honey, I have something big to tell you. And she's like, whoa, like you never, what are you talking about? Like, well, I bought something here and it's gone really high. Like, what? She's like, it's Ethereum. And he's, what's Ethereum? It's a Bitcoin. Oh my gosh, what's it worth? She told him the price. Sell it all. He's like, no, there's a future. And he's trying to explain it to her. And she's like, what? It's so risky. It's so this, it's so that. However, if I'm hearing what you're saying, hey, if you understand the technology and what it can do and the value it could be, you can have this certainty to hold. Is that a fair summary so far?
Yeah, that's a great story, actually. I wish everyone had the same story,
Don't we all, right? Don't we all? The courage to buy, the courage to hold, right? And to ride the waves. And then again, as of Saturday, they just sold about 5 million worth and being able to defer all the tax. Pretty powerful, really cool. And it's changing the way that people defer cryptocurrency capital gains tax using the deferred sales trust. By the way, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to learn more about that. That's capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to learn more about that and the track record of the deferred sales trust. So I'm curious for you, Felipe, what's been the biggest frustration for maybe either your friends or family or people that who invest in crypto when they go to sell? What's your biggest challenge when it comes to capital gains tax or lack of options?
Well, one of the most difficult things to do is sell, because you have to think about maybe Bitcoin in 2011, 2012, and then how long has it been since that time? And then in how many years has it doubled, tripled, and 10x, 20x? The thing is, when you go to sell, how do you know it's the right time? How do you know this is the best you're getting? And I think that's difficult because a lot of people, they FOMO in when it's going up, and then they start selling when they're losing money. But that's not the name of the game. You have to hold and you have to sell. You have to have an exit strategy, because without an exit strategy, you're not going to be able to do anything. That is why I always have a strategy. And then when anyone's investing with me, I try to tell them this is the amount of time we're going to be in. This is what we're going to do. You have a say in everything we do, but try to take my advice in order to make some money, right? But my main purpose is not making money for other people. That's a side hustle I have, but I want people to adopt it. I want people to understand it. I want people to I don't know, I want people to join me and start learning about this and start building new stuff for the world.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's like the beginning of computers, 25, 30 years ago, right?
Absolutely.
And I imagine, again, I mean, he's Steve Jobs and he's with Wozniak and he's in the garage and the neighbors are probably walking by, maybe laughing at him or like asking questions. What are these guys doing? Building robots in there? Or I don't know. I don't know what happened during that whole run up. And he's like, guys, I want you to understand this. I want you to see what this can do for the world. I want you to see the opportunities, right? I want you to join the movement to roll this out. Is that a fair summary, Felipe?
Oh yeah, I think that a lot of people are actually thinking about stuff like that and they're taking it into account, and maybe they're like, okay, we're in the future and we're early. We're gonna make something out of this, and they're interested, they're happy, they're excited, and I think that's great.
Yeah, and it's also bringing the world together in a lot of ways, right? You're in Nicaragua, right? I'm in here in California, and we're miles apart, but we're coming together on something here. Through cryptocurrency and what's happening, and so that's really cool. So, okay, so I also want to touch on a couple things you said, right? You said the FMO, like fear of missing out, right? So they're making emotional decisions on the run up, right, and then probably making emotional decisions on the down, and there's this roller coaster, especially in crypto. And to be able to have the certainty of conviction of why you're investing in the value behind the technology or the coin or the future of that thing and how it actually brings, again, value to whatever thing it's going to be solving. Second, having someone on your team, right? I think this is so important. Someone like Felipe who has another understanding or a deeper understanding or is a few steps ahead of an investor, so that this is why financial advisors are in place, and it's a crypto advisor in one sense as well, because you could say what you're doing here, right? You're helping people make decisions on the buy and the sell of the coins, right, of the property. So the importance of not going at it alone, right? So just speak to that, not going at it alone, learning from those who know more about it than you do, and then having a game plan in place so you don't let the emotions take over.
Yeah, I actually recently saw this metric. I watch a lot of YouTube videos and I follow people like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with BitBoy Crypto, Altcoin Daily. They're great influences and there's great information. But I saw this metric where they compared the whales whenever they buy compared to retail buying, which is everyone else pretty much, and then how the markets fluctuate as they're buying and selling. And what I found was that basically when the institutional investors are buying, a bull run is starting. So they're early, right? And then when they're about to sell or they start selling, it's about to, the market is about to peak. And that's when you see when it peaks, that retail is starting to buy because they FOMO in. But then you see that since 2013 and then 2017 and then back again right now. And then I think we're in the middle of a bull run. So I could say it's going to happen again. And right now the metrics say that the whales are buying. It means it's going to go up eventually, as historically. But I don't want to. It's not financial advice. Let's make that clear. But historically, it's about to go up in value, And probably when it's at its peak, retail investors are going to start buying, and they're going to lose money.
Very interesting. Yeah, very fascinating. And so thank you for sharing that. I like that analogy, right? The whales versus the retail, right? And as the institutional whales come in, then they start buying, it tends to be like a bull run. And obviously if they stop buying or start selling, it tends to be a bear run. Is that a fair summary so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, excellent.
I want to ask you a question, actually.
Sure.
because I think you're an expert at this. So are you familiar with the SEC XRP case or Ripple Labs case?
So let me also clarify what I'm an expert at. I'm an expert at all things deferred sales trust, commercial real estate, right?
Okay.
Investing and brokerage. Not an expert in the crypto world, although we have closed the first official cryptocurrency deal into a deferred sales trust. So we've already got to define expertise, right? My client was an expert in all things cryptocurrency. And again, it's a team effort to make everything work because we got to get everyone
Obviously.
to sell and everything set up. So I am not familiar with what you're referring to, but how about you enlighten us on what it is?
So what happened is that the SEC is trying to manipulate sort of what's happening in the crypto world through this company. What they did, they're saying that they did a public offering, I think it was 2012, 2013, and they're treating this XRP coin as a security. I'm not as familiar with asset classes in the US. I know what they are, but I'm not as familiar. And I wanted to ask you, a little bit more about what implications it has regarding its asset class.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, securities for, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, certain different other things are classified as securities. And so what you're saying is the coin for the first time in cryptocurrency history, if I'm hearing you correctly, they're trying to classify or are classifying XRP as a security. So not being a licensed securities professional nor a securities attorney, I don't really know how to answer that question, except for the good news is the Deferred Sales Trust can defer capital gains taxes on public or privately traded stock, right? Which if the XRP is classified as a security, it's going to be like a stock. And if you were to sell, we could defer that tax as well there. So that is the good news. So I'm not sure if you want to add anything else to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So since I have investments in the US, outside of the US, I'm a US citizen. So one of the biggest things I've seen with a lot of people that are new to crypto is that they're not sure what's going to happen if they make some money in the crypto world in the US, right? If you have any enlightenment around the taxation of this being a security, can you tell us a little bit about what happens when you make money and then when does it start counting as a tax implication?
Yeah, great question. So the key for anything, whether it's property or security or whatever, you're buying at a certain price, and then when you have a gain and you sell, and you recognize that sale into your personal account, that's a taxable event, right? And so whether it's a security or a property or however it's classified, you bought it for $1, it's worth $1,000 a coin, right? That's a huge gain, right? It's a huge gain. Upon sale, there's going to be, depending on if you've held it for longer than a year, right? Long-term capital gains tax implications. Shorter than a year, short-term gains, right? So it's classified as ordinary income. This is for United States, okay? So regardless of security versus property, there might be some other nuances there, depending, again, I'm not a securities attorney. Check with your CPA. This isn't legal tax advice. But just realize if you buy something low and you sell it high, it's going to be taxed, right? And so you got to be ready to pay that. And so I don't know if that answers the question, but any thoughts there, Felipe?
No, well, actually, I encourage all of our viewers, please do your taxes with crypto. Please do it properly. We still don't know what's going to happen with the actual asset, but for now, please pay your taxes.
Yep, report it. Right? Don't hide it. Report it and say, here's what I bought it for. Here's what I sold it for. What do I owe? And here's what I pay. Yeah, exactly. We want to make sure you're doing everything above board. Excellent. So we're running out of time, Felipe. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so knowing what you know now, if you go back to your 16-year-old self, because you're still pretty young, what's the one golden nugget you'd make sure to tell yourself to do besides like, I should have bought Ethereum and Bitcoin and more XRP or whatever?
I wish I could have learned more about this technology because I stopped. There was a time where I stopped learning about it, and I think that would have given me way more information right now to talk about it, to invest in it, and to learn from my mistakes. But I'm happy learning from mistakes. I think that's one of the greatest things to do, learn from your mistakes. And I'm really happy where I am right now, but I wish obviously I had more information with me.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. What's the number one book or podcast or even YouTube channel, you mentioned a couple before, that you recommend for those who are maybe just getting started in cryptocurrency?
If you want to learn in a friendly way, I totally recommend BitBoy Crypto. You can follow him on YouTube. You can follow him on LinkedIn, Twitter. It's a big family. It's really nice. And he's very very noble and very nice, and you can really understand what he's talking about, and he's going to be real with you. Yeah.
Perfect. Love it. Third question. What's the number one leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
I strike by living in the present. I feel like a lot of people that think of the future, only the future, are always, or not always, but they're stressed, or they're thinking what's going to happen next. I feel like if you live in the present, maybe not always remembering the past, but you live in the moment, I think you can do great things without being stressed, being overly like something like that, like
overly anxious or overly concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Love it. Question 4. Which coin are you most curious about?
Well, actually, I'm very invested in Ethereum, but my favorite coin right now is XRP because of what's happening with the SEC, and if the theories are right, it's gonna explode. Not financial advice again, but this asset is supposed to be the new SWIFT system for the banks, where it's gonna make it easier, faster, smarter, and cheaper. And since the coin is burned when it's used, if so many transactions, like the SWIFT banking system, I think they do 35 million transactions every single day. If that happens on the XRP blockchain, it's gonna go up so much in value. I think it's gonna be amazing.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that. XRP, folks.
Yes.
Next question. So we talked about book. We talked about curious on the coin, leadership quote. What's the biggest obstacle facing the blockchain or the cryptocurrency world?
As a beginner, or for myself?
Just in general, like what's the biggest obstacle you think that's facing the, it could be government, it could be regulation, it could be investments, it could be technology. Like what's that one big obstacle? If it could be taken away, it would be in better shape.
I think adoption, because a lot of people are not actually understanding what this technology does. A lot of people are just interested in making a quick buck, and they're not invested in learning about what it's going to do for them in the future, or for people around them, or services. And I think a lot of people are just putting dumb money in, sometimes losing, sometimes winning, but not really understanding what they're doing with it.
It's the biggest obstacle is adoption and education, would you say?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yep. Cool. Well, Felipe, it's been more than a pleasure having you on the show. For our listeners or anyone who wants to get in touch with you, should they reach out to you on LinkedIn? Is there a website? Is it Twitter? Is it Instagram? What do you think?
You guys can reach me anywhere. I think my LinkedIn profile will be there. You can message me anytime. I'll respond to any message. I'm happy to talk about crypto with anyone and discuss. Let's build something.
Amazing. Felipe Vogel, thanks so much for being on the show. And I want to thank our listeners for listening to the episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, also streaming on expertcresecrets.com, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options, especially as it pertains to selling XRP, Ethereum, cryptocurrency of any kind. When there's a huge gain, right? And you want to defer tax, look for our new blog post that's going to be coming out soon, kind of detailing, again, that recent close deal as of just a couple days ago. $5 million, right, of Ethereum, Bitcoin sold and deferred over $1.5 million of tax, all 100% legal using the Deferred Sales Trust. And again, you can learn more about that by going to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. That's capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. You can also search it on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, all the major podcast channels. We so appreciate everyone out there. And please rate, review, subscribe. Please tag somebody, right, who has highly appreciated assets and coins, and that they could get help right now. And so we're happy to help. Appreciate you, everyone out there.